There's something broken about the NBA draft. We wait all year for this night.
Need to test the structural integrity of the roof after that one.
The hype is real. The mock drafts flood the timeline. Every source claims a blockbuster is brewing. Every fan base believes their team is about to change its future.
In the 2025 NBA Draft, the Dallas Mavericks select Cooper Flagg.
This is it, they say. The moment we go from rebuilding to reloading, from irrelevance to a ring. And then, nothing. No chaos, no drama, no trades that shake the league to its core. Just a bunch of GMs looking nervous in suits.
2025 draft class has reported for duty. John Tonje, Walt Clayton Jr., and Ace Bailey have arrived in Utah and were introduced to the media.
Picking players like they're checking off a grocery list. But this year was supposed to be different. We were told to brace ourselves. Cooper Flagg was a lock at number 1. But after that, pure unpredictability. Rumors flew that the Spurs might flip to number 2. The Sixers were open to shopping number 3. The Hornets were fielding offers. There was even talk of surprise trades from dark horse teams like the Bulls or Magic. And what did we get? No trades in the top 5. None. In fact, we didn't get a single real trade until pick 10. And the kicker? That one had already been leaked days before. But don't mistake the lack of trades for a lack of madness. Because what followed was one of the most baffling, confusing, high-stakes drafts in recent memory. From players who actively tried to tank their draft stock.
It was a dream scenario for us. These are guys we targeted before the draft with high potential, high character.
To executives gambling their futures on prospects that weren't even on most boards. To a wave of players who looked pissed off to get drafted in the first place. This wasn't just a draft. This was a psychological thriller. Let's start with how the whole thing opened, with a thud. Section 1, a draft that forgot to explode. You know it's going to be a weird night when the most exciting moment before the first pick is a fan heckling Adam Silver. Just as Silver walked out to the podium, someone from the crowd screamed something that had the room howling. But it turned out to be the most energy we'd get in the first 10 picks. Because despite all the rumors, nothing happened. No trades, no pick swaps, just teams walking up, making the expected selections, and moving on. Now look, we all expected Dallas to take Cooper Flagg at number 1. That was a given. But after that, chaos was supposed to rain from the heavens. The Spurs were sitting at number 2 with a logjam of guards. The Sixers, with Embiid aging and title pressure mounting, were reportedly begging for trade partners to flip their number 3 pick. And what did we get? Nothing. It was like watching a fireworks show where someone forgot to light the fuse. Fans across the league kept refreshing their phones. Woj bomb? Shams update? Please. Something? But it was dead silent. Just a parade of expected picks and executives playing it safe. And to make things worse, the first actual trade of the night came at number 10, and it wasn't even a surprise. It had already been reported earlier in the week. Zero drama, zero impact. NBA Twitter was ready for blood. Instead, it got salad, making the obvious picks, hoping no one called their bluff. And here's the wild part. Even without the trades, this draft still found a way to be wildly confusing. Because after the top 5, it was like logic just left the room. Teams started reaching for players 30 spots ahead of projections. Players showed up visibly angry about who picked them. And multiple franchises made win now or lose everything moves that could define their next decade. So yeah, no trades at the top. But don't think this draft was boring. What came next made no sense. Section 2, Dallas locks in, tries to save face. The Mavericks, now Luka-less after the blockbuster trade that sent Doncic elsewhere, had to nail the number 1 pick. And they did. Cooper Flagg, the obvious choice. The right choice.
I think he's from here, so he wants to put up a show. We should just.
But GM Nico Harrison, who's been roasted all season by fans, acted like this pick redeemed everything, as if taking the clear number 1 somehow wipes away the trauma of trading away a generational star. The draft party in Dallas was electric, but let's be honest, that energy was masking a whole lot of please don't boo us again energy. This wasn't genius, it was survival. Section 3, the Spurs. Repeat their mistakes? Now the Spurs. Everyone expected them to get creative.
All the emotions mixed in one bucket. From crying to laughing to being happy, everything, man.
Instead, they drafted Dylan Harper at number 2. Another non-shooting, ball-dominant guard to pair with Steph Castle and De'Aaron Fox. If this sounds redundant, it is. They're collecting guards like Pokemon cards, with no shooting badge in sight. But here's the twist. Harper might be better than all of them. Some scouts say he would have gone number 1 if Flagg hadn't reclassified. So San Antonio stayed put, hoping talent would outweigh redundancy. If Harper pops, they look smart. If not, Well, it's going to get crowded in that backcourt. Section
4, Philly's confused identity crisis.
Philly, old Philly. They had the number 3 pick and were reportedly dangling it like bait, but apparently no offer made them bite. So what do? They grabbed VJ Edgecombe, talented kid, but now you got Joel Embiid and Paul George, 2 30-something stars, and a youth core with Tyrese Maxey, Jared McCain, and VJ? 2 timelines never worked. Ask the Warriors. Ask OKC 2017. Philly needs to pick a lane. Either build around Embiid now or go full rebuild. Straddling both means no one wins. Section
5, Ace Bailey's draft night drama.
Then came Ace Bailey. This guy turned the draft process into an episode of Survivor. He straight up skipped workouts, canceled a meeting and dinner with the Sixers 48 hours before. Word is, he was trying to tank his stock. Why? Because he wanted to fall to DC, New Orleans, or Brooklyn. Teams he felt would let him shine. But Utah wasn't having it. They took him at number 5 anyway. And judging by his face, he hated it. Reporters pressed him for a quote, and he gave us an all-time draft night gem. I can control what I can control. My team and me, just me focusing on basketball and them doing what they doing. What? It was giving Modi Moses energy, and it was glorious. But Ace wasn't alone. Section
6, the new draft mood May.
Several players looked like they were drafted into jury duty.
Everybody that I've been around, I've been able to see a lot of guys that I've watched on TV multiple
Take
times.
Colin Murray Boyles. When Toronto picked him, he looked pissed. Dropped the F-bomb. Girlfriend looked like someone died. It's not that he wasn't excited, it just didn't look like it. Why? NIL money. College stars today are already millionaires. The NBA is no longer the first taste of wealth, it's just a change of address. The dream still matters, but the shock, the awe, not so much. Section
7, a Cinderella story and a clown move.
One of the coolest moments of the night, Cedric Howard. Just a few years ago, he was hooping in Division III. Now, the 11th pick in the NBA draft. From barely scouted to the big league. That's a movie script right there. But not every story was inspiring. The Pelicans pulled off one of the dumbest trades of the night. They traded up from 23 to 13 and gave up a future unprotected first to get Derek Queen. Yes, Queen has potential, but he's compared to Alperen Şengün and Boris Diaw. 2 weird, unpredictable bigs. Is that worth an unprotected pick? Especially when next year could be a disaster for New Orleans. Zion's health, a question mark. DeJounte Murray, likely missing time. And now they've added Jordan Poole into the mix. That pick could be top 5, maybe even number 1. For Derek Queen, that's insane.
Section 8, Phoenix goes full chaos mode.
Speaking of confusing, let's talk about the Suns. With pick number 10, they took Kamen Maluach.
Feels incredible, man. It's all a blessing. I mean, you work your whole life to get to this point, but now it's just
a high character center from South Sudan. Solid pick. Then they turn around and trade for Mark Williams. 2 centers, back to back. What? Williams is good, but health-wise, he's been a walking red flag. Failed his Lakers physical, only played 106 out of a possible 246 games. That's worse than Anthony Davis levels of missed time. Phoenix has so many roster holes, and they use what little trade ammo they had on 2 guys for the same position. This team needs depth, not redundancy. What are we doing here? Just when you thought the surprises were over, Portland said, hold my boba. They traded down and then picked Hans Yang at number 16, a 7'1" Chinese center projected to go 30 picks later. 30. Even Rich Paul, his agent, looked shocked. This is the first player drafted from China in nearly a decade, and execs across the league were stunned. One called it the wildest pick I've ever seen. That's not exaggeration, that's panic. Portland's job's on the line. They better love this kid, because if Yang doesn't hit, that's a fireable offense. Oh, and did we mention France? 3 more French players went in the first round. Behringer and Triard. That makes 10 French players drafted in the... Victor Wembanyama was just the beginning. These guys are balling out. France already faces Team USA for Olympic gold. With this pipeline, it's not hard to imagine them running the league in the next decade. America, take notes, because France is not playing around.
What is it, right?
So here's the thing. Every year we walk away from the NBA draft shaking our heads. Why did they draft him? That trade made no sense. This team just ruined their future.
Games are the toughest. This is a tough team right there. All they guys, playmakers, elite scorers.
Every year, someone proves us wrong. Kawhi Leonard, he was too robotic. Couldn't shoot. Look how that turned out. Giannis, raw, thin, a project. Now he's a finals MVP and global icon. Jokic, drafted during a Taco Bell commercial. These drafts never make sense in the moment, but a few years later, the decisions that felt insane start to look genius. Or worse, the decisions that look smart turn into long-term disasters. Will Cooper Flagg live up to the hype? Will Dylan Harper force the Spurs to make a massive shakeup? Will Ace Bailey actually thrive in Utah or demand a trade in a year? And what about Hanson Yang? Will we be looking back at this in 5 years saying, how did 15 teams pass on him? Or will we be asking, what were the Blazers thinking? That's the beauty and the curse of the NBA draft. You can't win it on draft night, but you can absolutely lose it. So now, it's your turn. Which pick confused you the most? Which team actually nailed their draft? Who made a franchise-altering mistake? Drop your hottest takes in the comments. I'm reading all of them. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, this journey through chaos and confusion, smash that like button. Seriously, it helps more than you know. Subscribe for bold NBA takes, breakdowns, and drama every single week, because this league, it never sleeps, and neither do we. See you in the next one.